Hello and welcome to Mental Monday, Mental Health Live. I'm Jake Symons. For the next half an hour we're going to be having a big friendly conversation about mental health. Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to be here. Today is the penultimate Mental Health Awareness Week special. All this week we have been live at 7 PM from Monday to, and we will be to Friday, to talk about mental health and to break down mental health awareness as a theme. And today we're going to be doing that again. There's no house rules here as such, other than can we keep things away from triggering topics, because obviously this is not a therapy session and it may upset some people watching, and obviously this is not an appropriate place to get support for that. If you do need support, or if you're affected or upset by anything you kind of hear today, then the Samaritans on 116123 or Childline if you're under 18 on 0800 11 11 are always there for you. So without any further ado, I want to crack straight into the usual question. But before I do that, actually, I just want to tell you that you can reach me on YouTube in the chat, on Twitch in the chat, on Instagram, Jake_Symons, or on Twitter at Jake S Writes. And that is something that is you can reach me on any of those places. So let's get into our usual question, and that is, how are you? How's the day been? I've been asking this question all week because it's kind of one of the fixtures of Mental Monday, because obviously it's important to check in and to actually make sure we are checking in, having those regular check-ins. And, you know, mental health check-ins are not something for Mental Health Awareness Week. They're something, you know, if you see that someone's not okay, or if you feel that they're struggling, or if they're not themselves, it's something to check in then too. And, you know, hopefully one of the things that actually comes from kind of Mental Health Awareness Week is actually the ability for us to check in more and to kind of be there for people. That would be really nice. So how has your day been? Do let me know in the chat. I'm just kind of flicking through now. If anyone has a solution, that means that I can bring YouTube, Twitch, Instagram and Twitter chat all in one place. That'd be great, because at the moment I've got it all split screened. But my day has been alright. I've been putting the finishing touches on the roundup post for tomorrow, which is going to cover the fantastic mental health community. And I really do mean that, because there are so many amazing content creators out there that have, you know, shared really personal thoughts and talked about really deep stuff. And I wanted to highlight some of those. So there's some of the usual people in there. Some people, like myself, write every year. Some people, it's just a one-off. And every bit counts. And then I've obviously linked to some tools and the BBC and Metro, and others have been writing some stuff as well. So that's all linked to, and we'll talk about some more of that tomorrow. For now, though, I did want to just see how your day's been and how you have been getting on today. Hi, James. Hope you are doing well. We are slightly lagging. I'm not sure. It may be the case that I just have to turn off HD, because it seems to be how we stream these days. But moving on, let's talk about how to take some action. This is the title of the blog post I wrote, which I changed. Originally, when I planned this, I planned to write about your nature stories and how nature's impacted you, and to really share some positivity about, you know, nature. Because when I went into planning this, it's a very wishy-washy theme, nature. I didn't want to come across too kind of pop-planty, as is the new kind of word I'm using. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts. But then I realised, and I've spoken about a lot, the frustrations of the mental health community in terms of funding, in terms of accessing support. Having gone through child and adolescent mental health services myself, or CAMS, I'm aware of those issues quite acutely. So that is something I wanted to highlight. Additionally, there's the issue of awareness being very PR for companies to tweet out, like my company has done, hashtag Mental Health Awareness Week with a nice graphic, but then not do anything internally about that. And again, that's another issue. So today I wanted to kind of talk about how to turn awareness into actual action, because otherwise we kind of float around mental health for a week and then it goes away until next year and nothing really changes. And I get that, because on an individual perspective, so between me and you, watching this right now, listening to me, you can't do anything. You can't, just fund the NHS. You can't do what's needed to provide mental health support when it's actually needed. And I get that, but there are things you can do. And there are charities, and I'll talk about some more of those in a minute, that are fighting for better mental health. And there's fantastic campaigners, and I do want to link to some more, who are, on the front lines really fighting for better mental health. And I think that is something that's really, really valuable and also saying that you don't need to be a mental health advocate. You don't need to have a mental health blog. You don't need to, suffer from mental health or live with it to actually be kind of helping us and helping the mental health community and helping those who are living with mental illness to actually get the support we need, ultimately. So the one single thing you can do, and if you're in a good place to, and everything that I say comes with the kind of caveat, if you're in a good place to, because obviously your own mental health is important too, and it's important, especially if you're a mental health advocate watching this right now and you're a blogger and you're kind of out there with your DMs open, wishing people that they'll get better, saying you're here for them. That is an exhausting thing, and you have to be okay with that. And obviously this kind of format, say Mental Monday, is not for everyone. You have to be okay with that kind of level, and it's fine if you're not in a good place to, or if it's just something you're a bit introverted and that's not something you're comfortable with. That's fine. It's not a kind of you have to do lots to make a difference. Agreed. I do agree with that comment there from James on Twitch, that awareness is just being aware / acknowledging it. I think we, especially during lockdown, have all been aware of our mental health when our lives are limited to one walk of exercise per day. I think we're all too aware of our mental health and our mental well-being, and that is something that's always talked about. And obviously we do have to do stuff about that, and there's some tips for mental well-being. But what isn't in the kind of forefront is mental illness. And maybe that's because it's easier to talk about mental wellness, because we all have a mental health and we can all look after it by taking fresh air, putting some music on, doing things we enjoy. But for mental illness, there has to be a level of professional help. So a good tweet that I referenced yesterday is a pot plant won't cut it. And I do absolutely agree with that. There are some people that need more than that. And that is, something we can't just brush over and say, oh, just take a walk. So, thanks, Ethan. But there's also a kind of, there has to be more. You can't just give people a pot plant, tell them to take some fresh air, open a window, and expect that to solve all their problems. And what I worry about Mental Health Awareness Week is it's kind of very superficial, so it focuses on everyone. And if you do want to reach as many people as possible, which obviously you do, as the Mental Health Foundation do, because obviously they want to make money and they want to raise money because they're a charity and they need money, like every charity right now. So they do have to do something that reaches as many people as possible. But by doing that, you don't really help those with mental illness. It's more kind of helping everybody, and you don't really make a difference to those that are actually struggling day to day. And that's the issue, and that's kind of why we kind of call in, and why charities are calling for there to be, proper readily available help and all that kind of stuff, because you can't just tell people to take a walk and expect someone that has, say, complex kind of mental illnesses for that to work. And I'm kind of partly responsible for that on this stream, actually, because on this stream you get a representation of kind of anxiety and depression. and you kind of see me talk about anxiety and depression, and I've shared some videos on my kind of low days, but most of the time, thankfully, I'm more recovered. So you see a very kind of mild anxiety and depression, and I sit here and I look absolutely fine, and I, speak to you from a good place about mental health. And what that doesn't show you is everyone who struggles with, say, more complex things that need, say, medication, more therapy, and kind of proper support that's there, rather than just, stuff you can do for, say, anxiety. So obviously self-coping mechanisms, for example, taking a walk, doing some self-care, all that kind of stuff that we've all read in the pamphlets, that is essentially not it. That doesn't work for everyone. And there is a side of mental health that we're still not that aware of, despite us all being aware of our mental well-being. We still don't have that much awareness to kind of the more complex mental illnesses, which may be because they're more difficult to understand, or they're traditionally, and still are, more stigmatised. I was reading a tweet from Rethink, actually, about BPD, that only about 53% of people, which is about half, say their kind of perceptions changed. And if you think about how far we've come in terms of the mental health conversation, it's mostly about talking when you're feeling low and reaching out to people. And that is the first step of recovery, and that is the first step of getting support, is talking to get it. But then we don't really talk about what happens after that, and the kind of the recovery journey that happens for, say, someone that just needs a bit of counselling is different to someone that, say, needs medication and will continue to do so, and who needs, say, CBT or DBT or something along those lines, and actually needs that proper support. And is that support there? Not really. It's not fully. What we need is fully funded, readily available support, and that's, again, things like Young Minds are calling for that. Mind, Calm as well, among others, are all calling for there just to be support there. And that's one of the biggest frustrations, and what I've kind of really dedicated a lot of Mental Mondays to, is actually saying that while we do have Mental Health Awareness Week, and while connecting with nature is obviously beneficial, and I've had benefit from that theme myself, we can't forget that there is a mental health crisis, and that goes beyond just people who, feel a bit low and suffer from, say, kind of more mild kind of conditions, when actually a lot of it is really debilitating and actually does require a lot more help than is realised. And recovery isn't easy, and it is very difficult, and it can take years. And that is, again, really, really important things to actually talk about, because you can't just say that's, okay. You can't look at the kind of current situation of mental health and think it's helping, when you hear so many stories of people in long waiting times, which I myself have experienced, and kind of not being able to access support, or being too good to access support. So being told effectively that, you've got to be more ill to actually get support, which obviously you want support before it gets to that stage, because that is potentially fatal. So so there has to be more, and I think that's really something I've been trying to get across, is there needs to be much more than there is. So that is another. We were going to keep this more positive, but I don't think that's really worked this time, to be honest. But that is the situation. That is how it is. Thank you to everyone. It's called Mental Monday. So Mental Monday is the name. Mental Monday, Mental Health Live. The reason for that is Mental Health Monday is trademarked in the US, I believe. So I wanted to just kind of keep away from anything and just have Mental Monday, which is a lot more alliterative, which I like. And so it is Thursday, but the program, the stream is called Mental Monday. So Mental Monday doesn't always happen on Monday. So, we were streaming during Christmas, and that's like Mental Monday, because it's just the name of it. It normally is on Monday, so it makes sense. It's just when it's not on Monday, yeah, but I mean, I can't really call it like Mental Thursday because it's not Mental Thursday, it's always Mental Monday. So, yeah, it is just the name. So, if I called it, say, something like Jake's Mental Health Stream, it wouldn't matter what day it is. So, kind of like that. That's alright. That confuses a lot of people, don't worry. That is, yeah, it is just the name of it. Anyway, I did have a list of things to talk about, which I think have gone straight out the window at this point, because we kind of got talking about complex issues, which I think is really important. And a lot of the conversation I see is kind of stuff on Twitter and, you know, on social media, because I follow a lot of mental health advocates and I get a lot of stuff through my feed. But if you're, say, in a position where you're not in that community, and, you know, you don't have to be, not everyone, you know, wants to follow that content. That can be triggering for some people, and some people are just not that bothered or interested. And that's okay, because, you know, you want to follow people that make you happy, ultimately, and that you're interested in. No, we're just going to come up with alliterative names for... I could come up with a few as well, but yeah, I think we'll stick with Mental Monday. But in terms of, like, how we provide content and how we talk about the conversation, a lot of it comes from mental health advocates. So a lot of the kind of stuff from the Mental Health Foundation, the stuff from government, the stuff kind of from organisations is very, here is the theme and here is a link to it. And that's exactly what we tweeted out on the company account. It's just, here is the theme, here is a link to it. Mainly that's because we don't use Twitter at this point. And it's kind of just a bit annoying, really, that people don't talk about kind of serious conditions. Because Mental Health Awareness Week is a time when mental health is a focus nationally. And, you know, we should be able to bring up things. And I just wish that more things could be brought up and the platform was able to be more specific as well as general. So focusing on, say, specific kind of complex conditions, or complex conditions as a whole even, as kind of a halfway point to that. To just kind of say that, you know, there are people around you and these are not, like, you know, dangerous or scary people, that you can still talk to them, they can still live their lives, they can still work, they can still do things, but they are struggling really badly and they need support. And I just wish we'd talk about that more. Advice on examination stress for an apprenticeship role. Well done for looking for an apprenticeship role. That's definitely something I would say is better than uni, in my opinion, especially because I did drop out of A-levels, so I'm kind of biased in that regard. Advice on stress is that, you know, if it's something you like doing and it's something that you're interested in and it's something that is making you kind of happy, then work towards it, because your end goal is to get the apprenticeship, to get into a job, to do what you like. So part of that's focusing on the long term, to say that this little bit of time that I'm working really hard and maybe not doing other things I like Fortnite, and if I can mention that, is like, I'm gonna just have to kind of, I guess, sacrifice, for want of a better word, into that. And it's just about focusing on the end game more. I've gone through round 1, so top 20. So you've got through the first round. So you've got kind of the confidence there that, you know, you've been selected. So obviously you've got something and there is a chance that you'll get selected again. And you're doing an online test. So it's, you know, like any exam, just do what you can beforehand. Put the work in, because it sounds like this is a main company, if they have a selection process like that. I presume they're public sector. And that would kind of be a very kind of good opportunity, but don't make that the stressful, make that kind of enjoyable, that, you know, you're going through this process and just kind of look after yourself for it as well. So yeah, work hard, but don't work hard to the point where you're like not looking after yourself as well. Southeastern, yes, public sector. It's a train company, isn't it? So, I mean, you love trains though. So that is something that, you've got a future in. So just kind of focus on that and be kind of there for yourself as well. So, look after yourself, have fun, don't kind of cut studying into all sorts of like life stuff. Have a life as well, but yeah, it's just depends how much work it is, but try and maintain a life as well. That would be my suggestion. Don't make it kind of all encompassing. You do want kind of that thing. So yeah, I mean, if you are going through that process, that is kind of a difficult time, and I kind of can generalise this a bit to everyone that's like looking for a job right now. That this is our time, and some of the tips that I'll be sharing on in Friday's roundup are actually from Reed, which is a recruitment agency, which is about how to manage stress while job seeking. So that will be coming up as well. Just reading my chat. Big up the Ramsgate to London Victoria route. Okay, that's interesting. I'm normally just high speed. That's like the only train I get, to be honest. Yeah, it is a balance, and you're probably going to be more studying than work. It's just that if you kind of, depending on how you study for it and depending on what the material is, just kind of try and make studying, I guess, do it in a way that doesn't become kind of monotonous. Try and mix it up a bit, I guess, well, that's how I got through GCSE. Just doing different things, don't making it like I'm studying this in this way. Trying different ways. But yeah, I mean, that is always going to be stressful, especially if it's for kind of Southeastern, which obviously massive, really kind of good. But then, that don't put the pressure on too much because of that. So use it to motivate you, but don't let it become like too stressful. Don't ask me for exam things. I barely got through GCSEs. Fortunately, I just have marketing kind of exams, which I really like doing. So, luckily, but yeah, I can understand, and that's probably a few of you watching this right now going through that kind of job seeking process. It's just be yourself with it, depending on what you want to go in. Obviously, engineering's a bit more kind of technical and advanced, so you do have to be kind of a bit more formal with it. But if you're doing anything, say creative, say marketing or advertising, the biggest thing is just to be yourself with it, because most marketing agencies hopefully recognise work-life balance, or at least remote companies and that kind of stuff do. So be yourself with it, and that kind of puts you in the best position. But for kind of some stuff, so if you're kind of going into a really large established company that is you're doing a very kind of junior role in, that can be a bit more tricky. So yeah, good luck. That's what I'll say, is good luck. Let me know how it went. And there we go. We are coming to the end of Mental Monday. So just a quick request, if you do have any ideas for blogs that I could include in my roundup, it is not too late to get them in, because the Mental Health Minute is tomorrow, so I am going to be publishing the post at about 11:30 tomorrow, which gives me enough time to fit the Mental Health Minute in, which is at 11, so that will mean that you do have until about then to publish, but I'll leave submission forms open for people with late entries, or if you haven't been able to write a blog yet because of obviously COVID and kind of other stuff going on in your life. I do get that, so submission form will be open for a couple of weeks just to allow any kind of late entries, and then the roundup post will be published and it will be done until next year. And then we can look to other awareness events. We have World Mental Health Day in October, and a few other stuff. So yeah, it's kind of going into a quiet time, but we'll be live every other week as usual to talk about various things, self-care, recovery, kind of anxiety and depression. We might even potentially get people on. I don't know. I would love to have kind of a Zoom going with this. I think this is a perfect format for us to chat among each other, but also to just chat as well. I think that would be a brilliant format to have people on, especially now we're live on both Twitch and kind of YouTube, so it kind of expands the audience out a bit. So yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts today. I don't really have anything else on my list. I want to talk about the roundup and some of the kind of young minds and some of the other charities tomorrow, because that's kind of where we'll be talking about the roundup. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Get your blog posts in. If you do want to reach me after, Instagram Jake _Symons, or Twitter @JakeSWrites. I'm nearly on 2,000 followers on Instagram, so if you wouldn't mind getting me over the line, that would be appreciated. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow for the final Mental Monday. And that is it from me tonight. So enjoy your evening or morning if you're in America, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.